I never thought I'd have to fight for a home that was already mine, but when the Cedarwood Homeowners Association tried to steal my childhood home, they had no idea they were about to face the fight of their lives. You see, my grandfather built this house with his own two hands. For 40 years, it stood as a testament to his hard work. And now, the HOA had declared it a community hazard. They said it was unfit for the neighborhood. But that was just their excuse. In reality, they wanted the land to build a fancy new clubhouse. What they didn't know, I had a plan. And by the time I was done, the HOA wouldn't just be out of my house, they'd be out of the entire neighborhood. It started on a quiet Tuesday morning. I had just returned from a work trip when I found the bright red notice taped to my door. Immediate action required. HOA order to vacate. My stomach dropped. I hadn't missed a single mortgage payment. The house had been in our family for generations. How could they evict me? I ripped the paper off the door and scanned it quickly. The notice claimed my house was in serious violation of HOA Code 17B-3, Unsafe Structure Decree. But here's the thing. My house was fine. Sure, it was older, but I had maintained it well. New roof, fresh paint, and I had just replaced the porch last summer. There was nothing unsafe about it. I immediately called the HOA office. A woman named Linda answered. "Oh yes, Mr. Carson. We've been expecting your call. The Cedarwood HOA board has determined that your home is in violation of the new safety codes. You'll have 30 days to vacate, after which we'll take legal action." My heart pounded. "Linda, my house isn't unsafe. Who made this decision?" There was a pause before she replied. "That information is privileged, sir. But I'd suggest you start packing." I wasn't about to let them take my house. That night, I started researching the HOA's rules. I pulled up my contract from when I bought the house. Nowhere in the agreement did it mention the HOA having the power to declare my home unlivable. So I dug deeper. I went through county records, public documents, even old HOA meeting notes. That's when I found it. 6 months ago, the HOA had quietly revised their charter. And guess who signed off on it? Mark Reynolds, the HOA president. And guess what else I found? Mark was also the CEO of Reynolds Development Group, the same company pushing to build a multi-million-dollar clubhouse in the neighborhood. My property sat right in the middle of their proposed expansion. They wanted my land. They didn't care about safety. They cared about profit. And I wasn't about to let them win. The next morning, I knocked on my neighbor's door. Mrs. Jenkins had lived in Cedarwood for over 30 years. If anyone knew HOA secrets, it was her. "They did the same thing to the Petersons last year," she said, shaking her head. "Pressured them out. Told them their house wasn't up to code. 2 months later, bulldozers tore it down and they put in that fancy new tennis court." My blood boiled. How many other families had they bullied out of their homes? Word spread fast. Soon, more neighbors came forward. The Palmers had been fined thousands for grass height violations. The Fagners had their car towed for parking improperly in their own driveway. The Hendersons had been harassed into selling after getting slapped with repeated noise complaints, even though they were out of town when half of them were issued. This wasn't just about my house. This was a pattern. The HOA was systematically forcing out families they didn't want, all so they could develop the land for profit, and it had to stop. Armed with evidence, I hired a lawyer. We filed an injunction against the HOA, halting their attempt to evict me. But I didn't stop there. I took it to the local news. Reporters loved the story, a greedy HOA bullying a hardworking homeowner. Within days, it went viral. The county got involved. The city council started asking questions, and then I got the call. Mr. Carson, Mark Reynolds said, his voice tight, I believe we can come to an arrangement. He offered me a buyout, double the market value of my house, but I didn't want their money. I wanted justice. Mark, how about this? You resign from the HOA, withdraw every fine issued under your leadership, and return the money to every homeowner you scammed. Then we'll talk. Silence. Then he laughed. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. If you don't, I'll take this all the way to the state. And I promise you, when I'm done, you won't just lose your position. You'll lose everything. 3 days later, Mark resigned. The HOA refunded thousands of dollars in bogus fines. The clubhouse project canceled. And the best part? The city revoked their authority. Cedarwood HOA was officially dissolved. For the first time in years, people in the neighborhood were free. I walked onto my porch that evening and took a deep breath. The air smelled sweeter. The streets looked brighter. We had won. And as for Mark Reynolds, last I heard, he moved to another town. I wonder if his new HOA knows what kind of man they just let in. So remember, just because someone says they have power over you doesn't mean they do. Fight for what's yours. Because when enough people stand up, no HOA, no corrupt official, and no greedy developer can take what belongs to you. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more insane HOA tales. And if you've ever had a nightmare HOA experience, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear it.